Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is your bell ringer. Okay, we are going to maximize your learning right now. There is stuff in this room. There is so much junk in this room. There are benderoos. There are 3D printed stuff. There's like there's these things that are robot-y things. And your job right now is to not sit. That's your first job, is to not sit and to go around and touch some of this stuff, because this is the worst room for the presentation that I want to do. The presentation that I want to do has you actively involved in what we're doing. So when new people come in, you say, come play with this. This is so cool. Did you see this thing? Wow, I think it's 3D printed, I'm not sure. All right? Benderoos, there will be a contest. I will give.
Let us sit down.
No, okay. The person who makes the best thing with their benderoos, there's more up here, gets a stretchy bracelet. Ooh.
3D printed stretchy bracelet.
So your guide idea right now, get up off your seats, touch stuff, share with your neighbor. I want to share with a couple people a cool thing. Can you make that do something? That would be awesome if you could make it do something and share that with other people. You have 7 minutes to accomplish that task. How long do you have? How long do you have? 7 minutes. What's our task right now? Touch to play. Awesome to have some fun. If you want different colors of benderoos, did I say there was a contest?
You did. We didn't get any benderoos, so I'll put some over there. Thank you very much.
And
I think this is funny. Good.
okay. And for those who want to up the ante on their benderoo creation, I have a limited number of. More benderoos, yellow, red. Less setting, more playing, more touching. Share with your neighbor. Did you see this? This is junk. I don't like this plastic. This is cool. This is awesome.
All the little LEDs. They're fun. Yeah. Where did you get the rest of it?
If you have these cube things and you want to do more, we have more blocks up here that do crazy things. Oh. Okay, benderoo creation folks, we have a strong contender up here already. From the Hawkster. Put this up here. Here's one of our first contests on our entries. Still have a couple of LEDs up here. What? 2 LEDs at the same time? That's crazy. Still have some up here.
So where are the LEDs popping up?
We have 2 more batteries. So it's first come, first serve. We've got different colors. And you know that the long end is the positive end and it goes on the top. So
Okay, so do you have a blinky one?
we don't have a
No blinky ones. Are these the batteries?
Yep, these are little CR2 2032. The important thing is they're 3 volts.
Where do you get yours?
I got mine on.
That one's
I
done.
got some at Harbor Freight, but somebody said they can get them at Amazon. You can get like 20 for like $5, $6 or something like that. The batteries.
Radio Shack too.
Yeah, but that's expensive per unit.
Well, that's good.
And that's great. So get started at Radio Shack, and then realize, oh, I want 60 of these, and then you're
I'm
gonna
not
start,
gonna buy them at Radio Shack.
and then you're gonna start doing some unit pricing
Yeah,
and get your
cool.
cost down lower.
I want another red eye.
Do you put your stuff up on the roll out there?
On Thingiverse.
Oh, that's very cool.
You know, I have a couple of things that have, a few thousand hits. I have have some project ideas that I think are really kind of cool instructionally, but
We're
just,
breaking all the rules today.
Oh, good,
kind
okay.
of taken off. Like I've had some peers go, oh, this is a really cool idea, but you know, a lot of the thing with Versatium, well, first of all, it's just about, there's a decay curve. The first time you post your thing, the first day you're up here.
Right.
And every day after, it's like a log decay kind of thing. And I'd love to do like a research project on
Yeah,
it.
that would be really
Because you go from 200 to like, and you know, there's like the really cool ones that go viral and they
Right.
get featured and then they spike up and stuff like that.
neat.
You know, for your kids, they put something on Thingiverse and right away they have 100 hits, they have 200 hits, and that's a real kind of feel good. And then that download dollars and see like 20, 30 downloads. You know, somebody was talking the other day about the throwaway assignments. Like, you do something for a teacher and just looking back
Right.
at professional assignment. But then you publish the Thingiverse and you get those downloads and then somebody else took the pull the trigger and maybe kind of that's like
Yeah, that is exciting. I'm going to do my business card right now. One of my colleagues, his name is Jim Lehman. He's not here. She sits around the corner from me. We have 2 maker boxes. And he's on campus. They are rocking all the time. And he's just, you know, but we're at the beginning to, we actually got in school. So we're trying to figure out how do we take this and not just make cool stuff for the lesson. And be able to hold it up and show this as an example. And being able to produce things. And I noticed that you're pulling yours around. That's the other thing we're trying to figure out is how can we make it. It's just there are all the copies that shows the print. Because the size, are you worried about the stability of it?
I'm gonna pass it.
Oh, okay.
But that one belongs to the admin office already.
Okay, yeah, she said that, that's where it lives, so.
And like, if I could spend 2 weeks with Diana, like I have like
That's what make you make it.
who does the FD thing, and he produces great circuit. He says it took him 6 months to really learn how to get great prints.
Invent to, did the keynote mention this book yesterday?
So, you know, I don't want to come in here and have something that's going to take 40% of the
Yeah,
time.
invent to learn.
I might have been in there.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
I mean, ours works fantastically, but like I said, you have to babysit it, because a lot of things, you know, when it prints, if you're not there at the stability.
How does the light work?
He's not babysitting.
This is what our teachers are doing.
And you put it in the car, and you come in here, and you go down.
And that's what we're, that's what we're messing up.
A battery, both units, there's a long end and a short end. The long end, somebody may have already stolen all the batteries. So the long end goes on the positive side of the battery, and someone stole all the LEDs. So they're all batteries.
Because that's how you can get your information more than just arrow keys and space bar and right click mouse.
This one's small. So the
You can assign that, I think.
your phone LED goes. Yeah, and you can use wires and copper tape and all sorts of
Make it seem.
They really are, the kids will, excuse me, that one is.
People in the back who are new to the room, have you touched anything yet?
Yes. No.
You need to get up, touch some stuff, find something that is cool, and be able to tell your neighbor what's the coolest thing you've seen. I'm going to give you 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. And you need to be prepared to share what a cool thing you saw was. What cool thing did you see, Kevin? I'll come back to you.
What is your name?
We're also having a Bengaroo design contest. Very exciting.
Oh, I saw that. Soul part of my robot, that Brady bot. That's cool.
Here, this is, I know, we just want to check with somebody else who just loves. Jason, did you take the battery out of my? Somebody took it out. And, also some more commercial versions of some of the but yeah, but then this is what it's all about. But he does it.
Okay, you have one more minute? Right now, while you're talking, chatting with your neighbor, talking about whether or not you're going to the prize session, you need to tell your neighbor what the coolest thing that you've seen so far today, touched, did, interacted with.
All right, the whole thing I saw.
And if you have something way cooler in your school, and this is all silly stuff, tell your neighbor that.
I like this. This is awesome.
It's amazing how much detail.
All right, you ready to go? You ready to share? Kim, where are you? All right, I put you on the spot before. I said I'd come back to you. What's the coolest thing?
I like the cute ones.
Nice, excellent. Kent, where are you? What you see?
Just the capabilities of the 3D printers.
Nice.
Amazing.
JB.
I like the 3D printed stuff, and
Okay.
specifically Lincoln's head.
Bring me the head of Lincoln. There you go. Attack effects. Nice. What did your neighbor share with you?
The Nautilus, which is my second one.
The Nautilus, yeah.
on yours.
Okay, Mr. Student's eye. What did your neighbor share with you?
The Bengaroos, and no, there's nothing as cool in their building.
Okay. What did he share with you?
Same thing, the nothing is cool in his building and those blocky things. Oh, no.
I apologize for picking on you. It's a snow day, so I feel like I can be a little bit more relaxed today. Okay, who's desperate to share something that they saw that was really cool?
I like that tiny little pink piece in the front box that you don't really know what it goes to.
Yeah.
The far box.
This one?
Keep going far.
Far?
Yeah, it's in there. It's just a little pink part. It's just like a little. I don't know what it goes to, but it seems like if a part breaks on something, you could print it.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. This is getting started with Makerspaces and 3D printing.
I want to share this because we both like it. It's a number wheel, but if you did different ones in different colors, it's perfect for place value.
This is actually
There you go.
the second place, maybe it's the third place winner of the MakerBot math contest. And so there's all these number rings, and then they have an operator ring, and then they have an equals ring, and then you can do math operations through there. But I actually kind of like yours about place value, right? Because now we can re-engineer this free design, this contest winner, and we can just put in the pieces that we want, right? Now we can do place value stuff too.
You can use it as a stamp.
It's awesome. See, okay, there are people out there who are designing stuff, but they're not educators. And so they come up with crazy stuff, and then they don't have any lesson plans ideas. They have no way of. Anyways, that's a whole different thing. Okay, so.
So talking about making pieces that you need, we do Lego robotics at our school. And last summer at one of our camps, some of the kids needed some Lego pieces that we did not own. And so the older kids used the printer to make the pieces that we needed for Lego constructions.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to talk, and that's this boring, silly part. Okay, but we're in this crazy room, and so like at 2 a.m. last night, I was like wait a second, I'm in Crystal A. Crystal A is a row of seats and there's no tables, and how am I going to do that? So I prepared a formal presentation for you. So I feel like now I'm obligated to do, so this is getting started with Makerspaces and 3D printing. My name's Josh Ajima. But DesignMakeTeach.com. At DesignMakeTeach, I'm on Twitter, I'm doing stuff. I'm high volume on Twitter, and I'm annoying sometimes, maybe. Follow me anyways. But if you just want the good stuff, go to DesignMakeTeach.com. I made a logo, so I feel like I gotta show that off too. I know it's silly. I did an active inspire. So, Makerspace. It's a buzzword, right? So, what is a makerspace? All right, a makerspace is an idea. It is this idea. All right? And the idea is that students can learn by making. This is a radical idea. When did this become revolutionary, right? That students can learn by making. Karen Richardson started me to do the same sort of thing over the summer at the VSTE. And she said, I saw you preaching, Josh. I'm like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. But students can learn by making. That's the takeaway from this. You can tweet it if you wanted to. All right? That's the note card. This is what you bring back to your staff. Students can learn by making. Students do not learn by bubbling. Right? That's for us. That's for us to feel good about our school. That's for us to feel good about us as a system. That has nothing to do with the kid learning. Right? That's so much effort. Am I preaching? Can I hear an amen? Amen. How much energy do we put in to make kids bubble the right bubble? Josh, it's on the computer now, but it's still a virtual bubble. Okay? There's still a bubbling, right? So, somehow, probably in my lifetime, it's radical now. It's revolutionary. It's a movement that students can learn by making. That's the idea of what Makerspace is. People tell you a lot of other junk, but students learning make. The rest of this is stuff and space and money, and we know how to deal with that. It's hard, and we work through it. But the first thing you got to do is have the idea. Say it over the microphone. Students can learn by making.
Yes,
All right.
Wait, Josh, I want to tell you something. Teachers are learning to make right there forms. And your enthusiasm is carrying right through that wall. Thank you. Meter.
This is what happens in school.
There goes your
So, and let me tell you where it came from. March of this year, I was burned out. I was an ineffective technology resource teacher. I'd done interactive whiteboards. Man, I'm a good TRT, okay? And we did interactive whiteboards. Man, I went and I was in that building 12 hours a day, making sure everything was aligned correctly. I did PD up the wazoo. We did it. You go down my hallway, you'll see every teacher using an interactive whiteboard. You won't see any kids in there.
Yeah.
I work in a high school. Like there's one teacher who but and the next thing I was excited about was one-to-one. We're gonna do one-to-one. All right, let's get the content ready. Let's get this stuff. And I'm waiting. And everybody's saying, well, it's a bad economy, Josh. We're not going to buy textbooks. And so we're this whole one-to-one. I'm waiting, and I'm burning out because it's not happening. And everyone's like, oh, we can't do anything. We can't do anything because of the budget and stuff like that. And so I said, I got to do something. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to grab something. It's like surfing, right? There's that tech waves. You got to pick your wave. You got to look out there. You got to find your wave, right? You got to start paddling. You got to surf it. Does anybody surf here? Probably. All right. But metaphorically, we understand that, right? You got to be careful, otherwise you get swamped by the wave, right? A lot of waves just go by us. But you find your wave. Boom. You start paddling. This is my wave. Makerspaces. This is the wall in my office. Before I did this, right, I was just staring at this concrete wall every day, burnt out. All right, so I started writing on the post things. How does this work? Makerspace, how does it work? Well, we want kids. We want kids to solve a problem, answer a question, fill a need. It was important enough for me to write it down on a post-it note, stick it in my wall, right? And look, I did a little arrow here, very fancy. And I came up with the idea that there are 3 phases. There are 3 things that we want our kids to do as part of this whole Makerspace thing. Number 1, we want kids to design stuff. Design, make, teach. Design, make, share. All right? But that design thing has a lot of different words, depending on our content area. I say design, that's a STEM word, right? But sometimes in English and social science, it's brainstorm. In science, it might be hypothesize. It's the think step, right? And we have the digital tools to design stuff. We have so many apps on our iPads and websites and stuff like that. But that's a whole different thing we don't do a lot of, right? Designing, students designing stuff. And then there's the next part. You have that design and you build it. You make it. Science has a word for it. It's called experiment. All right, so, and then you can fab, and there's all these, buzzwords about this thing where the kids actually build stuff. So for me, there's capital M making, and then there's little m making when the kids build stuff, right? And then the third part to me is the most important part. I'm talking about job skills, right? Things that we expect people to be able to do in our tech-rich world. And that's to be able to share this stuff. So they make something, but they've got to share it with the world, right? They got to market it. They got to publish it, right? You're a writer, and you got to teach it. Okay? So those are my 3 words. So my website is design, make, teach. Your class might be hypothesize, experiment, publish, right? But it's all part of this making process. So I see this as multidisciplinary. Man, it's like the principal's right next to her. Oh, shoot. So I came up with this thing. It's kind of silly. It's a foldable. Woohoo! All right, I don't have enough for everybody, but I have a website. It's called designmaketeach.com, and it's got the Mini Maker notebook on it. So I'm going to leave the copies of this, and anyone who wants their own Mini Maker notebook, it's a foldable. I think this is a video. I know some of you are having seizures right now, but you go to the Pocket Mod site, you guys know this, right? Some of you really aren't. All right, you design your little pages, okay, and then it gives you a sheet, and then the kids cut it up, and for me, I want to copy. Okay, they cut it, and I have pages for design, make, and share, so as teachers we can assess what the kids are doing, because there's the design step, and there's an area for them to draw a design, to write about their design. When they make it, they can write instructions, they can draw a sketch of it, and then when they share it, they have to publish. If they're going to publish it on a website, or they're going to do a commercial here or something like that, they could storyboard it, and they could write the text that goes with the video storyboard, or however they're going to share it out. If it's going to be a website blurb or an Amazon review or something, or whatever crazy thing. So, Thingiverse. All right, good. Because a lot of times kids go, right? And we look at people doing Makerspace stuff, and we say, that's nice. That's very stationary, kindergarten-y kind of stuff, but it doesn't work for what I'm trying to do. That's, I gotta grade it, right? So here, look, I gave you tools, and now you can feel good about what you do. So that way the kids can just go ahead and learn by making, and then you can grade something, right? So, anyway. All right, so you're like, Josh, you're telling me a lot of stuff, you're preaching to me, but I need a book. I'm a textbook. I'm a teacher. I learn by reading things. All right, so I did this website, and I started blogging, and I'm doing all this crazy stuff. And then this book got published. And everything I had been researching, all the links and websites and resources that I've been investigating, everything I've been thinking about this whole process, Invent to Learn, Making Tinkering and Engineering in the Classroom by Sylvia LaBelle Martinez and Gary Stager, very popular ed speakers, right? So this is the Makerspace Bible for K-12. You're not going. Some of you aren't going to buy it. I'm serious. Get your library media specialist. Get your public library. Get on your Kindle. Use your Amazon, whatever gift cards you get over the holidays, and buy this book. This is the book on Makerspace. You came here to this fancy conference. You paid money for a hotel and gas and registration. You can afford to buy this book because this is what you need for Makerspace. Right here. It's got resources on it. Some of you are like, well, I'm from Southwest Virginia, and I live next door, and so it didn't cost anything to get here. And that's fine. Then you go to the inventtololearn.com website, and they have all the links for the resources on the website. All right? But everybody else, get somebody with a suit in your school system to buy you this book. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Okay, now those of you who are interested in 3D printing, there's the Make Ultimate Guide to 3D Printing. This is the magazine you want to buy. This is a one-off special edition issue. You can get it as a PDF, and you can get that PDF, and then you can email it to your friends, right? Because it's an unlocked PDF. So get this magazine if you're interested in 3D printing. It's got the reviews and things like that. I'm going to tell you stuff, you're not going to believe me. He's just Josh, some guy from Loudoun, whatever. But Make Magazine is official. It's on paper, so, it must be good information. And then if you're really into this maker stuff, there's this magazine called Make Magazine. It's a little dangerous, a little kind of revolutionary. But you can do cool stuff, you can make cool stuff. So, all right, subscribe to that. Okay, and this Invent to Learn, they talk about game changers. All right, and they say, Gary and Sylvia say that there are 3 game changers. They're on Twitter. Gary yelps a lot and talks about his travel schedule. Sylvia's a little bit more rational, so I tend to pay more attention to Sylvia's tweets than Gary Stager's tweets. All right, fabrication. Building stuff, all right? So there's all this Invent to Learn stuff, there's making stuff. There's kids who are learning by making. But there's some game changers. There's some things that are available to us as educators now that really, really, really change things. And so one of the things is fabrication, because now we have things like 3D printers that someone can buy, like me, in March. When I was burned out, I bought a 3D printer. It was $600. How did I do it? I gave myself a grant. I awarded myself a grant. It was a very compelling grant application. Right? So I paid for it out of pocket, but I had a rational reason on why I needed to do that professionally. Okay? So I could be passionate. And look, now I'm presenting at VSTE and conferences and PD stuff, and it's so exciting. All right. And then if you can get something as far as getting a lot of student projects done, boy, get yourself a laser cut. This is a Zane 50-watt laser cut. It's got a 12-inch by 24-inch bed. Man, it will pay for itself. We're doing the CTE teacher. This is CTE money. CTE folks always have money, right? Perkins, whatever. Something's wrong with education. We got to get our kids ready for the job market. Let's give CTE money. And so they're making trophies, and they're doing footballs, and the kids are doing stuff, and the kids are doing their furniture. And this thing the kids do stuff in Publisher. And they set the line width for the cut, and everything else is rastered. And we had a kid who was like, saw this and was like, dude, give me my wallet. And we're like, well, I don't know about that. Probably want to take stuff out of it. And we engraved the school logo in his wallet in like 2 minutes. It was insane. 3D printing takes a long time. The laser cutters are nice, but they're like $7,000 to $15,000. But wow, they're cool. Okay. Physical computing. Am I still too loud?
No, you're great.
Okay. Man, it's just like staring at me. I'm like, what's that? Oh. All right, physical computing. There are these things. So this is the Raspberry Pi, and some guys were like, hey, in the UK, the Brits are all over this stuff. The Brits have a 3D printing curriculum, and they're going to have 3D printing in all the schools. And you know what? The British beat us by like 5 years in getting interactive whiteboards into every classroom. So I don't know if they're doing any good stuff with it, but boy, they're kicking us in the rear as far as getting the school things to the classroom, instruction technology, rather than we are. Sometimes I think they're dual tracked, and that kind of worries me. Like there's this design and tech course sort of thing. I don't know if it's all the kids who do that or not. But anyways, so here's physical computing as a Raspberry Pi, and so this guy was like, hey, let's have computers that kids in the classroom learn about programming and do all this other stuff. And so they did all this work and came up with this computer that's $35. What? A computer for $35? Who would have thought it? Right? So that's super cool. You need cables, and you need an HDMI monitor and some other stuff. But the unit itself here, and you can make it headless, so it just does. But anyways, so we have these kind of boards here that are low price. You can tell I'm used to a regular board that's mounted, so I keep tripping over this, because this is my teaching, writing on the board. Okay, anyway, so, and this is the Raspberry Pi connected up to a DVD player for my car. The kids beat one panel up, so I was able to use it on the other one. J.B. Reynolds and Marty Hawk, stand up! Woo, woo. All right, in the house. All right, and look, they're playing with Makey-Makeys, right? And this board, maybe this is why I have problems with Makey-Makey, because the Makey-Makey board's $50 and the Raspberry Pi is $35, but it's a unit thing, right? If you do 1 million of something, it's a lot cheaper than if you do like a couple thousand of something, but this is a Makey-Makey, and it's a controller, and it's a physical component, and so they're making circuits, right? Like the LED circuits here in our little LED light kind of thing. They're making connections to various things. Here, were you using fruit and vegetables?
Mm-hmm.
JB, what would you say about the experience? Or did you feel engaged when you were doing the physical computing?
Yeah, it was definitely fun to hit Marty.
I was one of the vegetables.
Fun? What? You all guys, who saw the Ignite talks? One of the award-winning guys was like, fun is a dirty word, like we never use it in education. So, did you hear what he said? It was fun. And the guy said, we learn when we're having fun. Okay, that's part of the engagement process, stuff like that. But the thing is, this stuff is cheap enough, right? Some of you are like, oh, whatever, Josh, I know, we're sitting here. Increasingly, the world of our kids are devices that are sealed, right? That are not meant to be opened up. And we all, those of us of a certain age, remember the stories about the kids who took alarm clocks apart and this and that, and they became these inventors, and they started computer companies, and so Apple, right? The original Apple looked like components like this, and now we have these sealed things that our kids can't get into. Well, I know there's that one kid in your class who does an iPod repair type of thing on the side. But you know what I'm talking about? It's not really meant to happen. Okay, so the third game changer is this whole programming thing. And so this is Computer Science Education Week. And all of your schools are participating in the Hour of Code. Well, not the schools that are closed. Mine were scheduled for Monday and Tuesday, and then as well test starts on Wednesday, so I have no idea what's happening to our hour of code. But the idea is, hey, everybody should be able to program. There is not a field that you can think of that does not have some sort of big data set. Okay? And dealing and interfacing with that big data set, there's programming, or you're doing website work, you're promoting your book, you're doing media, you're doing all of these things that are programming related, right? I know there's a math guy in the room. Like pure math, like I really do have problems saying to a kid that you're going to use calculus in your real life or geometry, and we can make the case that they will. But I can 100% make the case that wherever our kids work, there's somebody in one of the offices that they work in somewhere that's doing some programming for that company. All right? Even if it's McDonald's, there's somebody at McDonald's who's doing the website and the point of sale service and something. So there is a computer programming, computer science job somewhere in that career field that they're in. Okay, so programming, I tell you, Scratch and all those cool things. Go to the computer sites, put in hour of code, right? It'll take you to the site, and you'll see all these resources and stuff like that. So, okay. So that's a lot of talking. Okay. Okay. I just want to play the video. This is the never stopping bot. Did you hear the voice? Mm-hmm. Okay. Was that an old voice or a young voice?
No.
Is that a boy or a girl? It's the never stopping bot. That's my daughter. She's in Barb's office playing with the Q-Buds. She also made a teenager bot. It was so cool, right? So you would walk up to the teenager bot, and then it would rotate away. And then you like come right here, and it would rotate away from you, and you're like, look at me! And it would keep rotating around. It was awesome. I was like, you made a teenager bot. You're going to be just like that, aren't you? All right. Guys, can I be loud again? Oh, she's gone. We'll make her come back. All right. So I only have one presenter note in this whole thing, and it's just like getting started. What's the key to getting started? Start! You want to do makerspaces, you're here in this room. Start! Don't think about it. Don't wait for a grant. Don't wait for permission. Just do it. Do something. Do something small. Start it. Okay? You're sitting there, you're looking at me. I'm concerned. You, I know. You're starting. You're thinking. All right? You are worried about it a little bit. But you're there. You're there. Start. Just go back and do something. All right? It doesn't have to be my silly stuff. Do your stuff.
Question about the printers. Is there concern? I've heard concern about the air, ventilation.
There was a research study done over the summer that 3D printers emit ultrafine particles. Depending on the material that you print with, PLA, polylactic acid, has the same amount of ultrafine particles as sitting next to a stove in your house. I hang out in my kitchen. All right? The ABS plastic emits 10 times the number of ultrafine particles as the PLA does. And that's equivalent to sitting next to a charcoal gas grill. There's also been people who have reported headaches and things with dealing with ABS. So I would print in PLA, I would print in a well-ventilated area, and I would pay very much attention to any kid who complained about having any sort of respiratory issues or things. But I haven't heard anything about PLA. PLA is a corn-based product. It smells sweet like syrup when it's cooking. I wouldn't print in ABS in a normal classroom. But some of you have, we're going to talk about makerspaces in a minute. So I didn't tell you I'm a beginner at this. I told you I started in March. I'm a beginner. So this is a field report. This is getting started. This is a beginner talking to other beginners. There's a ringer in here, I bet. Who already has a makerspace? You already have a makerspace. And she's like, we did better. You can present next year. That'll be good. All right. So some of you are like, Josh, I don't have a lot. I don't have any room. I have a classroom. I'm thinking about it. Well, what's a makerspace? Makerspace is an idea that students can. Everything else is just stuff and space and time and money, right? So this can be a makerspace. A bag of LEDs, a couple of CR2032 3-volt batteries, maybe some Bendaroos. Okay? That's a bag. That'll fit in your classroom. It's going to be $10 out of pocket. You can do it. All right? So this is the nucleus of a makerspace. This is baggy. And some of you are like, Josh, I got money. I'll be like, okay, good. Look. All right, this one's awesome. I love these little cases what are they called? I don't even know. They're the really useful box, right, at the office supply store, and it's nice, and that fits on your bookshelf. Okay, so and then you can move up. Woo! Josh, that's $5.99. All right. You know, but these are things that we can do. All right. So let me show you my first idea, because some of us wanna, if we're gonna get this thing, we want to have it in all of our classrooms, right? And so look at this. All right. This is the Office Depot model. All right. We'll wheel it around. Okay. And Staples has a version of this, right? What do we got in here, Josh? Look, we got a 3D printer in here, and then I have the laptop on top here. And so look, right, we have a power supply, we have a 3D printer, okay? So look, that's a mobile makerspace right there, okay? And so could you wheel this from classroom to classroom? Yes, and you gotta set it up. Will this fit in your media center and put a barcode on it and check it out, folks? Sure you can. Right? So that's one option. And some of you, I know, are in districts, and you'll probably be wheeling it from building to building for the STEM days and things like that. But that could be a makerspace. Gosh, that's cool. Josh, we got money coming. Holidays are coming. Look at this. Look at this. It's the Stanley Fat Max right here. Oh, look at that. All right. All right. So what happens that's intimidating is when we hear about makerspaces, we hear about somebody that has $200,000 that fully outfitted an old career and tech wood shop and outfitted, and we think that's what we have to do, that we have to have a laser cutter and a 3D printer and a lathe, and we have to, 5 Raspberry Pi stations, and the $500 cubelets and the $189 little bits, right? Is that how much one of those are?
I think it was about 100.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So $100 little bits. That we have to have a room, we have to have a space for that. Well, it can be this, right? And you got your stuff in here, and look, I have filament, and I have benderoos, right? Did we look at our benderoos? So, ooh. All right, what do we think about this one? Nice, right? Thank you. All right. Oh. My eyeballs. It's beautiful. All right. Got this one. Okay. Got the heart. I have the light. And was this a dog? Was it a dog? Okay, so all of those people are going to come up here at the end, and we'll kind of find something cool for you. All right, so makerspaces can be a lot of things, and I'll show you some examples, some real-world examples in a minute. But if we have this idea that kids can learn by making, then we can start accumulating stuff, silly, simple, inexpensive stuff, and work our way up from there, right? And we can write the grant, and we start writing snowballs. When you're doing stuff and you're successful and you're presenting at conferences, people want to give you things, right? When you're just starting out, you're trying to get a toehold in, and then you gotta fight for like a pencil, right? What do you mean you need an ink cartridge and a ream of paper? This is February. We don't have any ink for you. And you're fighting for every little bit. And that's just how it is. And you're carving out space. And so it's just, did I tell you it's revolutionary? Right? So a lot of people that I talk to are doing the makerspaces in small little niches. Right? It all starts out as this kind of underground little pocket of stuff. And by underground, I don't just mean, the stuff itself, but the time that you carve out, right? I didn't do SQLs today. I didn't follow the blueprint. I'm half a day off. How do you find time for this? So, the easy answer for how you can get a foothold in these makerspace stuff is STEM camp, right? Chances are in your district, somebody's got some STEM money. or somebody's got some steam money. There's a pile of cash in your district offices and it says steam on it, right? And so somebody's doing elementary school summer camp, maybe it's a day, maybe it's a whole week, maybe it's a couple weeks, you know, maybe if you're a poorer district, maybe that's better for the grants, right? You know, maybe you see a gender gap, maybe you have a high ELL population, you know, maybe you have all of these factors that make it difficult for you. Well, those are the same hot button issues that make it easier for you to write STEM grants and STEAM grants. Okay, and I know, gosh, grant, gosh. All right, give me some more work. All right, but I live in Loudoun County, and we're very lucky that the Howard Hughes Medical Institute came to Loudoun County, and we gave them a STEAM text. Do I only have 7 minutes? Is there a full hour? Is it 10 to 11?
Yeah, we're on to 11.
Okay, thank you. All right, and so we had a STEM camp, okay? And the reason that we got funded for our STEM camps, our real official STEM camps, is Howard Hughes pays $1 million, even though they got like tens of millions of dollars in tax breaks. So, you know, in your region, you got to figure it out. You're the ITRT people, right? You figure out the politics and you figure out how to make it work. So here's the STEM camp. And so here's the teacher. Look, there's my Mini Maker notebook. I love it. Awesome. It's free. I have one for you if you want. It's also on my website. All right. And I'm giving it to you for free. I didn't copyright it or anything. I did like Creative Commons or something. All right. And so I went to STEM camp and I was a 3D printer guy. And they have their own STEM camp thing, and they've done it for years and years and years. And so they just threw me in the mix as a 3D printer guy. And so what I did is, like, here's a teacher, and he wanted something impossible. He wanted a hurricane, and he wanted every kid to have a little badge, and he drew this thing, and he molded in Play-Doh exactly what he wanted. And he went, so look at that, right? He wants a snail-like shape, and it has to be the exact right type of hurricane. Like, I found some hurricanes, and they're like, no, that's the wrong type of hurricane. I'm like, whatever, that's swirling stuff. All right, one snail-like hurricane, okay. And so he gave me that input, and I had some high school volunteers. Well, they weren't volunteers, they got paid. And so one of the kids, like, went into this program called Tinkercad, where you can design 3D models. And, like, it was crazy, because I didn't think he could do it. But what he did is he came up with, there's little torus shapes, these little donut shapes. And instead of just trying to make a big shape, he took hundreds of these little donut shapes together and kind of piled them around into this three-dimensional shape, and it was awesome. Totally unprintable, didn't work for what we wanted, but it was awesome. And so I made these badges, and so the badges have, that's the NOAA symbol, but look, I have the bottom indented, it's because you wanted the either. All right, and then on Thingiverse, there was a 3D model of Hurricane Irene, which is a hurricane, apparently. And that is super annoying that I can't play that video twice. All right, so that was based on real data, and so I was able to print that for them. This one's the yucky one. The second one, I printed the first layers in blue, and then I switched out the filament and did it in white, and it looked awesome, so beautiful. All right. And so, all right, STEM camp. So here's some of the stuff that we did for STEM camp. We talked about biological adaptations, and so we made a school of fish. All right? So if you have a bunch of fish and they're all swimming in different directions and you're a predator, all right, that's lunch, all right? But if you have all of these similar shapes and they're all going in the same direction, because normally you just see a picture of fish. Maybe you watch a 5-second little video of fish swimming. Maybe you'd watch Finding Nemo, because I see that a lot at the high school level. I don't know why. Come on, you've seen Finding Nemo. En Espanol, so it must be good. All right, so there's the school of fish, right? So this is for the STEM camp, okay? So this is the school of fish. So if all the fish are going in one direction, do you want to be the fish that's going that way? No, you don't want to be the fish. Okay, do you want to be the blue fish in that group? No? Are you sure? All right. Do you want to be the big fish that's a different color? No. So fish school based on size, right? Shape, coloration, that's the survival adaptation, right? Okay? Biological adaptation, the biological adaptation here is similar, it makes it harder for the predators to get. Okay, so we did that for STEM camp. You're not impressed, I'm sorry. Okay, and so here's some fish. This was a 3D model that was published by a museum in Japan, like in '99, for digital animation purposes. I took that model and tried to 3D print it. I made it an STL file that's 3D printable, and I tried to print it, and the fins didn't print, right? And so I put a challenge up on this site called Thingiverse, where there's lots of free stuff. The softer I talk, the slower I talk. When I'm loud, I go faster, so there we go. Okay. And so this software company in Germany saw me put this post that said I couldn't print the fins, and so this software company that repairs three-dimensional models and stuff made these fins thicker for me, and so and then remixed it and published it, and now I'm able to was able to 3D print the fish. I printed it in 2 halves, and then glued the 2 halves together because the group was talking about biological adaptations and things. So there's that. Okay. So this is live reporting from the field, right? This was just this year, just in June, during the STEM camp. All right. Then the other teacher came to me and said, we're doing tornadoes. We're doing natural disasters. And the deal with the natural disasters is they study the Fujita scale, which is the amount of damage after tornadoes, and it goes from F0 to F5. And so what happens is you have these thumbnail pictures, these really poor quality, junky pictures from totally different scenes that show this is an F0, this is an F1, F2, F3, F4, F5 level of damage. Totally different, very hard to interpret. So the teacher came to me and said, Josh, wouldn't it be cool if we had the exact same building? This is the prototype. All right? So I said, you want a house? Yes, I want a house. So I made a house. And she said, okay. And I said, draw on here what you want. Right? And so she said, well, we want the house here, we want the road, we want a driveway, we want a car, and we want to be able to show apples to apples the difference between the different hurricane intensities, or tornado intensities, right? And so I went and I designed a house, right? So I kind of fits the blueprint, okay? And then I put a car in the carport, and there's a little road here, and there was a trash can, but this is after the F1 hits. So the trash can's gone, and the car's there. And so in this picture, look, you can see this is an F3, right? Same model, right? Where'd the car go? So over here to the side, you know, the roof's gone, all this stuff. F5's pretty boring. It's just this bottom plate with like a little line where the foundation is. F4 is just kind of the same thing, a little bit of rubble on top. So kind of 3D printing as a way to create manipulatives for science camp. Like real stuff. It's not like, you know, like trinkets. All right, I did trinkets too, right? I did the little badges for them to take home. I really did. How many of you are there? I didn't think there was going to be this many. All right. Oh, there's. That's good to see one more time. So this is fine. I think animations are a real cool way for kids to share their work. Remember, design, make, share. A little 6-second animation is a great way for kids to showcase kind of what they've done, and it's not a high threshold, and they add some descriptions and some text to go with that, and then they're doing authentic writing, right? Because writing is very important. We don't do enough of it because we're busy bubbling. All right. Josh, I love bubbling. All right, so that was one thing. STEM camp, right? STEM camps are a great way to get equipment and money and get organized and get some experience and get some kids through, because you have time, right? You have space, you have the money at all. Kind of makes sense with that. The digital fabrication, the scratch programming, the physical computing, doing makey-makeys, all that's right up STEM camp alley, right? Yes, making to learn. It makes me cry, right? We teach science all year long, a certain way, right? And then we have this 1 week in the summer, and we say, let's do something special, right? And we have teachers who prepare all year long for this 1 week. And I mean, they teach, and the kids are doing stuff all week long, right? It's interactive, it's fun, it's crazy, they're learning up the wazoo. I know I'm preaching this, okay? And we spent all that for like 100 kids to have that experience. And I'm like, dudes, why don't we do this like once a month? We'll have a science week, and we'll put this much effort into it, and then maybe we'll have an English week, and a math week, and a social science week, and then we'll repeat the whole cycle, right? We'll let all the math teachers have all of the kids for a solid week, and then we'll switch off. Because we were able to do so much stuff with the kids. I mean, it was awesome. They started the day by, okay, that's STEM camp, right? That's what we would do if we had time and money and resources. We'd teach like this, but all the rest of the time we got to teach this other. All right, here's the library makerspace. All the people from my county are sworn to silence. So I was kind of doing this makerspace in March, right? You know, I was kind of brainstorming and putting stuff up. And so my librarian, media specialist, librarian, what are they called nowadays? But they like to be called librarians. All right, she comes to me and says, Josh,
That's true.
I need some points for recertification. I want to present at our little local school conference. Can you co-present with me? And I was like, sure. And she's like, what should we present on? And I'm like, well, I'm really into this makerspace thing. This is really my thing now. I'm really rejuvenated by it. And so she's like, okay, I can do a session with you on makerspaces. And I'm like, who needs the recertification points again? And so, you know, we do this makerspace thing. But she kind of gets the bug a little bit. And, you know, but the problem is there's another librarian, and she's about to retire, and she's actually the boss. And so you can't really do anything without the head librarian who's about to retire's permission. And so that was kind of an issue. So she wanted to build a makerspace in the library, and then the other person said no. But then all the national library publications started publishing things about library makerspaces and, you know, doing presentations and things like that. And then suddenly, makerspaces, the librarian view seemed like a really good idea. And so now we have this kind of library makerspace here. And it's kind of this, oh, look at that. Did I tell you that animation is a really cool way to share the work that students have made? It's kind of, you know, it's something that you can do in a class period. So here's how it works, right? I told you this is the getting started session, right? You got to find space. You just have the idea. The idea is that students can learn how to start. You got to believe it. Students can learn by making. Students can learn by making. All right. So, look. Any media specialists in the house? All right. Look at that periodical section. That's not a really packed periodical section. And I don't think they're buying any new periodicals anyways, right? And so, look at my Hattie library set. Right? It's their idea now. They own it. Right? It's a thing. And look at how much space there was. Wow. And I bet you if you looked in your building, there's a space somewhere that somebody else owns that might be able to be repurposed for something else instruction. All right, so look, and they're so happy, right? And so here's some stuff, some really expensive stuff from the Container Store. It was the grand opening. I had to buy stuff. Where did that money come from, Josh? I gave myself a grant. I'm good like that. And these are like the dollar store bins. And this is an old paper dispenser, you know, thing that was in my office that I inherited. And so look, this is the creation corner. Now we have 3D printed stuff. This is a totally fake photo. We're doing the MakerBot Academy DonorsChoose.org thing, where you can get a MakerBot Academy 3D printer. And it's supposed to be really good because they're gonna pay all but $98 of it. Think about like cater for, that's $2,400 for $98 was a really, really good deal. And so I gotta go faster now. And so anyways, that's the Makerspace in our library. And it doesn't work. Because how many kids can fit in that? 3, 4. We have some other little tables and stuff to the side. So the guy who does robotics, we said we want to do a partnership with you, and he said, dude, I got 15 kids. You pick the absolute smallest little wedge of the library, and you expect me to come in here and be able to do anything. Look. That it really is the narrowest little wedge of the library. That's how we get a little toehold, and we grow and we grow and we grow. And that's the thing that you'll hear repeatedly from people who do makerspaces in school. They started out small, and then they grew and grew and grew until now they have a class, and it's this big thing. And you will hear the freak examples where, we're Dearborn, Michigan, and somebody gave us, $1 million because we're such a bad school system, and now we have this great makerspace, right? So there's the library makerspace. Now here's my 3D printer club. All right, look at the hands. I love this picture. All right, for those of you who talk about girls and technology and things like that, 3D printing, all this fabrication stuff, gender neutral. Okay. All right, so there's the 3D printer club. And it's chaotic and crazy, and if you've ever built anything, this will drive you insane. And they're slow, and only 4 kids can work on a 3D printer at a time, so you have to have other kids designing stuff. And Josh, how do you afford this 3D printer grant stuff? We got a grant. Our local education foundation has like a $500 grant. Hey, by the way, on my blog, designnativeteach.com, I have an article titled Writing a 3D Printer Grant, a $500 3D printer grant. All right, that'll get you started. $500 is almost PTA money. The printer itself is $299. They got to pay for shipping. You got to pay for filament. You got to pay for tools. So all in is $500. That's one IPU, one iPad unit, right? You already got iPads in your school, like 3 of them at least, right? So for one iPad unit, you can have a 3D printer, right? One more iPad's not going to help your school, but gee, one 3D printer that's an iPad unit is going to get some kids engaged and excited and things like that. All right, so there are the kids. Can I play again? All right, look at this. So I'm working in 2 schools, a regular high school and then a science academy. I'm running the 3D printer club and the science academy. And I have kids that are going to be scientists and engineers. And this is an 11th grade student. And so why do you want to have a kid building a 3D printer? Why do you want to have kids making stuff? Because that kid right there is learning screwdriver. All right, I have kids who are learning 11th to 12th grade, learning righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I have kids who say, Josh, or Mr. Ajima, these 2 parts don't fit together. I'm like, sure they do. Boom, tap, tap. Right? I have kids trying to put parts together like this in the air. And so we're learning all of those important real-world skills. Okay. I also do Maker PD, and so here's teachers. So here's a teacher. I don't know. He looks engaged to me. He did a lightsaber from an LED and a battery, and so this Maker PD stuff is really, really taking off. You got to get people. See, that's the other thing about why my library Makerspace is not working. It's because to get people to use it, you need to have teachers offering the ability for kids to demonstrate their learning by making things. Right? And so that's the part I haven't sold, is I haven't sold my staff on this concept that kids can learn by making. Right? So, Maker PD. And so if I go back to the 3D printer club, this is how it really works. Somebody who's dedicated, who loves this maker stuff, working with smaller groups of kids in clubs or in classes or whatever, kind of pull out that you can arrange or get to programs or remediation programs or whatever you can get. You working with a group of kids is how you're going to get that engagement. It's real hard to do this top down. It's real hard for a principal to come in and say, we're going to have a makerspace, or a librarian and say, hey, there's a makerspace, and have people show up for it because they got other stuff they got to do. All right, you got to go from the bottom up. A group of kids, the idea that they can learn by making, and then boom, doing stuff. All right. You want to learn more inventtolearn.com. There's, if you do have the $100,000, you can go to Makerspace.com, and they have the Makerspace playbook, and they give you the example blueprints and building guides and things like that for the full setup, right? This is like probably an Intel, Toshiba, Samsung, big money grant, right? Which are out there. Man, they used to be all over the place. Now it's like probably like 3 that are really cool in the nation, right? It's a lot harder. But makered.org, grassroots, make magazine. If you've heard of the many maker fairs, that's the kind of thing they're doing. There's the Maker Ed Twitter, excuse me, Maker Ed Twitter chat Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Andrew Carl, who was in the Hackerspaces, facilitates that. So lots of good stuff. If you're having some questions and ideas, get on there. And then designmaketeach.com is a really good thing. And just getting started with 3D printers. I know you aren't going to believe me, but when you get the Make Ultimate Guide to 3D printing, you're going to see that the best value is the PrinterBot Simple, which comes as a kit at $2.99. But I tell you, I have an article on my website about writing a $500 3D printer grant. And so you get something that looks roughly like this, except slightly newer and more assembled than this. And the kids assemble it and make it. And so for $500, you get a lot of value. All right, and so it really was rated in the 2014 guide, Ultimate Guide to 3D Printing, as the best value printer. If you're interested in starting with 3D printing, that's the way to do it. We have a little bit more candy. We have someone who's presenting right after, but if you want to come over, as I wheel stuff out, I have some more examples of stuff. Otherwise, have a very safe trip home. Take some candy, put it in your pockets, take a soda or something, in case you get trapped on anyone.
Good job, Josh.